Yes, apologies for the last stream. I must have got cut off. But you see the title, you already know what it is. So let's get straight into it. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in, either live or on a replay. Hopefully my mic sounds clearer than the last time. Like I said, I'm adjusting, adapting to this new platform. But I can't stop. I won't stop. So let's get into it. The question I have for the world is, what is black culture? The term black, who is it used to identify? Because we know it's just a color. We know it's a social, man-made construct created by European Caucasians, white European Caucasians, to identify a group of people and put them under a condition. That's why when you do the research on the subject, you see a lot of, what's the word? Connections between black and misery and suffering and all these words. And to be quite frank, those still ignorant to be using the term or identifying with the term black need to do further research. Like I said, this is just a discussion. What does the term black mean? Who identifies with the term black? Who can identify with the term black? If we go to Sri Lanka, we see black Asians. Can they call themselves black? Or is black have features, specific features? I'm just curious. So then we must break down the term black and do research on the term black, because people just tend to identify with the term black. Let's move on. I got a couple notes here. Actually, before I even get into anything, let me get into this clip of Bobby Hemmitt. Hopefully you guys will appreciate it and see where I'm coming from. I'm gonna let this stream run for as long as possible. And yeah, let's get into it.
We're axopheed people. We got axopheed brains. Anybody know what that means? It means that the black race is in a suspended state of mental retardation. Let me explain something to you. Do you know that when you incarnate down here, there's supposed to be a certain amount of learning? And when people not of your race, or not even got nothing to do with no race, because this happened to everybody. Because I used to talk shit about the white man. Spirit said, you got to get out of there, because guess what? The black people are so mentally ill, so we are all in the same damn boat. We are all on the same level. You ain't higher than the white man. You so mentally ill. You so goddamn mentally ill until we said all this shit about the caveman. No, motherfucker, we are all in the same damn boat, because our mental illness is so is such at a high state until everything down here is just squalor. And let me tell you what I mean by this. If a society does not give you the adequate kind of learning, I'm not talking about education, that's training. That's training. You ever thought when you looked in them goddamn the syllabus?
Now, I have to add what he just said. The education is not knowledge. It's just training. Training us for what? Every single year when we're at school, what does it teach us? Black History Month. And where does it take us back to? Exactly. Ponder on that. The school system, the education system, is not designed for young melanated people to prosper. It has stereotypes of us. It degrades us in certain ways. And ultimately just puts us in boxes. I'm sure you guys have heard of the school to prison pipeline. And if you don't, I suggest you do further research. So let's get back into what Grandmaster Bobby Hemmitt was saying.
In your head, you say, I don't really want to go through none of this shit. You see what I'm saying? The stuff you want to go through don't make no money. That's how they get you. You see what I'm saying? But that's training. But adequate stuff about your body and the world around you, if you don't receive those things, it brings on a state of mental illness.
I'm gonna have to pause him again because nowadays we live in a politically correct, you have to be politically correct society. If you're speaking truth, people don't appreciate that. People don't value that. They rather you feed them the lie. So this is where Bobby Hemmitt says the mental illness comes from. The lack of awareness, environmental awareness. You see, people that identify themselves as quote unquote black are basically new Negroes. Because before black it was Negro. Before Negro it was nigger. Before that it was another, name created by a white man to identify you, which you then accepted. You see, anytime you tell a quote unquote black person or someone who's melanated, give yourself a title, they get offended. No, I rather choose the title that the white man gave me. Someone that's not even part of your culture, your identity. So, it's subpar thinking. And the thing about modern quote unquote black people is that they think like a children. Example. Today I was having a discussion with few brothers of African descent, few melanated brothers, and they brought up the topic that most West African footballers marry their own. And I said, no, that's a myth. Most West African athletes or, people in the limelight marry white people, white women. And he said, no, it's not true. It's mostly Jamaicans and da-da-da-da. See, this is what we do. We don't like to face reality, so we start pointing fingers towards other people instead of looking inwards. The damage is always inwards, and we must heal. But people don't understand that. So then when I pulled up the stats, what came up is 67% of those so-called people date white women. They don't even look at their own women. And I even suggested to these brothers, why don't you ask your own women if I'm telling the truth? But they denied it. No, we always marry our own women and so and so and so and so. I said, brother, I highly doubt it. Even in Americas, when you look at America in the NBA, the NFL, rarely do they ever marry their own. They usually marry white women because they're trying to fit into the shoes of the white man, especially when they accept this title of quote unquote black. But we're going to get into this much deeper. It's going to be profound how we get into this and break backs tonight.
And so what they do here is there's variations of things that we need to learn that we can't learn, number one, because they gave us religion, and that takes up the slack. The religion tell you the only thing you got to do down here is be good. And that's good and fucking stupid. So as a result, because we don't learn certain things, as a result, we go through a state of mental illness. Just about most of the people in this country, black and white, is mental illness. It's just that ours is on a much more severe level. That's why I talked about the little white girls in the store, 7 years old, buying books on our spells, shit that we created thousands of years ago.
You see, the thing about quote unquote black culture is, especially in the Western world, is the fact that it's not controlled by black people or people of a melanated hue. When you look at the music industry, that's controlled by white people. When you look at the film industry, it's controlled by white people. So, like, what is black culture ultimately? Who governs it? Who controls it? How can you say it's your culture when it's owned by these individuals? See what I mean? These are the type of conversations we should be having as people of of African descent and of a melanated hue. But when we bring these type of conversations up on a deeper level and unpack and reveal our scars and wounds, people tend to get sensitive and attack. We tend to attack each other, just like the previous story I mentioned. No, it wasn't. It's not us. It's the Jamaicans and da 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 and da 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 da. Long story short, it's all of us. See, and truthfully speaking, when people say black, they identify with people of either West African or Bantu origin, because these people were taken into slavery and the transatlantic slave trade and taken to the Americas and the Caribbeans. And so now when people think of black, they think of these individuals. They don't look at people from East Africa, like the Somalis or the Oromo or the Maasai or these type of people. And don't get it twisted, these people are considered black in the sense of the word black, dark skin. But then people then identify the word black with features nowadays. If you ain't got Bantu or West African features, then you're not black. Then how do you define black then? Is it features or is it color? This is where the cognitive dissonance comes in between black people. And this is where the mental illness comes in, because people lack awareness. People are quick to accept anything, any label. So let's get back into it, because he's making some remarkable points here. He shows me I'm not alone in my thinking. He shows me that we as people of melanated hue, people of African descent, need to do much more research, much more refined research based on objective truth. So, like, let's get back into it.
You see what I'm saying? But
Right.
they are exposed to things, and because we're not exposed to things, we don't get to learn, and as a result, we go deeper and deeper into mental illness. I'm not talking about the brother being a mental. I'm just trying to say here, we need to get into our shit, the shit that was prepared for us that activates this melanin, not shit that ultimately gives you fear to shut down the damn melanin. Now, the last time I talked to Richard King, and when he was
Whoa, 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 whoa. Did you hear what he said? See, the thing about the entertainment industry, the music industry, which is also part of the entertainment industry, is that they sell us nothing but fear, violence. That's all it is. People are so, people of African descent, black people, just to, summarize it for you guys, because I know that's what you're used to. Black people, we are so accustomed to violence, watching fearful things. When you go on Netflix, all you see is documentaries about murder, drugs, violence, etc. Why is that? Why are they trying to program us with these type of thinking? Even though, some of these documentaries are interesting. But again, another one, like DJ Khaled says, another one. And then next week, oh, it's a premiere. Guess what it is? Top Boy. Oh, another one based on violence. Then what's coming next week? Another one based on violence. See what I'm trying to say? Or fear mongering. And when you're under heavy stress, and you're fearful, it shuts down your melanin. And who do you think they're targeting when it comes to all these things? See, before you even answer that, I've already been labeled as what's the word that we use? An extremist already, because I'm speaking truth. Freedom of speech is no more on this planet. They want to censor and govern what people think and say. And who do you think they're targeting first? I wonder who. Now let's continue.
when that book first came out, the last book they did on melanin, Richard King and Dr. Ann Brown and the brother Thomas Moore and stuff, they concluded the last time, he said, what is the biggest enemy to melanin is fucking fear. At any level, whenever you think for another human being on what they might do to you, and you think it up out of your goddamn brain, that's fucking fear. And that's what shuts down our shit. We are in what they call something against learning, or whatever this thing is. But anyway, let's go to the next caller. All right.
So again, the master teacher Bobby Hemmitt has spoke about it. They want us drenched in fear, consistently. This is what drill music promotes. This is what shows like Top Boy promotes. This is what big brands like Netflix promotes. It's crazy. I just want you guys to take note and be aware, because when you're not aware, then that brews and blossoms mental illness.
Ass down and see the King Tut exhibit. Here goes again. We are very inferior people. Now that shit they're gonna be 6 months, and I guarantee you, some of you asshole conscious people will not go see it. Why? Because you haven't been exposed to things. You haven't been real things. That's what we got to do. Break out of the goddamn pack. This shit came to Atlanta, and for 6 months. And the last days, niggas had to run down to see the damn shit, and some people didn't see it at all. You see, but people went to see it and had all kind of experiences. The experiences that were going that ended up going on after it was long gone. So the point I'm trying to make, if you are in those particular areas, go see the damn exhibit. Don't be a nigger. That's the worst shit on the planet. A fucking no good ass nigger. You see what I'm saying? Go see the doggone exhibit and get the quickening, get the stuff. You see what I'm saying? Let me give you this way. Every white motherfucker with sneakers on, every white person who had toenails, every white child that had goddamn fingernails, went to the one down here in Atlanta. Went to it in Atlanta. We are animals. Just like, you know, you could take an animal, there's an event that happened, but you know, that hog just gonna stand and he's only gonna be worried about the goddamn slop. It be raining, he still be chewing. Well, that's what we are.
See, the thing is, straight from when we're born, we go into the school system. Our parents already don't know who they are. They never tell us, you know, what we are. They haven't done their duty even on healing their past traumas, their generational curses or generational pain. Do you understand? How much information does DNA hold? I'll tell you, much more than a quantum computer, much more than multiple quantum computers. So genetic memory is key. Understanding who we are is key. But again, our parents never knew who they were coming into this Western world. I would even go to say they didn't even know the history behind black people and how deep and severe it was and how ongoing it still is. Do you understand? So the awareness, being aware of what's taking place. Stop thinking everyone's your friend. Not all skin folk is kinfolk. You feel me? And it goes deeper than that. So from when we're born, you know, we're injected with some next GMO things. We grow up into the school system, watching television, entertainment, telling us that these particular individuals are superior to us when that's a fallacy, a folklore mythology. You feel me? And then we go into the school system. And when we go into the school system, what happens? We get taught black history and all of these things about their great histories. But they don't tell us the true African history, how we made mathematics, geometry, archaeology, all of these stuff, architecture, medicine, you know, pure surgery like dissecting the brain from the nose. That's how powerful we were. Astrology, all of these things, sacred geometry, the alignment of the universe and the multiverse and all of these things. It goes deeper than that. How come they never taught us that in school? Because they didn't want you to know your power, your inner strength, your capabilities and potentials. Do you understand? It goes deeper than that. And then now let's have a split. When we're in the school system, let's have a split. There are those that follow the system and there are those that don't follow the system, starting from school. Those that don't follow the system, starting from school, those that rebel are labeled troublemakers, this, that. And then what happens to those individuals? They end up becoming gang members, criminals, etc., because they've already been labeled from the beginning. And also they're excluded from certain activities, certain privileges that the students that followed and submitted are privy to. It goes deep. So it's almost like a herding mechanism. And let's be honest with ourselves, guys. The prison system nowadays is modern slavery, especially in America. But then what happens? People go to jail, black people go to jail, they come out and they brag about it. They brag about it in entertainment, they brag about it in the music, they brag about it in the movies. Yeah, I went to jail. Guess what? I went to jail. I'm a bad man. That's the Top Boy effect. All of these drill artists, all of these rappers, they don't tell you how they're really homosexuals. They don't tell you that. They don't tell you the steps it took for them to get there. Do you understand? And how many times they had to touch their toes. So I got no respect for none of these drill artists. I got no respect for none of these gang members. I got no respect for a man who comes out of jail and brags about it. He brags about his own enslavement. That's how people are suffering from mental health nowadays. And it really is a mental health issue. Let's be honest with ourselves. And it's only black people that seem to do it. You never hear white man, Chinese man, Arabian man, Indian man. None of these people bragging about, going to jail. It's predominantly black people. The new Negroes. You feel me? Now, people of African descent worldwide, and when I say people of African descent, I mean people who are melanated, people that own this earth. If due to an unfortunate circumstance you was to go jail, let's say like a Malcolm X, he came out better. He educated himself. Wow. He had all that idle time. You feel me? And this is where people ultimately go wrong in the black community. Abortion rates going up at an all-time high. Black women are the #1 killers of black children. Let's be real. Kanye West said it, and he got bashed for it. Nobody wanted to vote for him. He wanted to change that law, but nobody wanted to vote for him. So it is a mental health issue. Let's be real, because people are unaware. Consuming GMO foods on the daily. They don't even know organic no more. You feel me? And it gets deep. I don't want people to lose hope. I just want people to be aware and tap into their inner divinity, their God-given divinity, especially as people who are melanated. See, this type of channel is different. We try and uplift people. We try and make people aware. You feel me? That's why I call that the top boy effect. The top boy effect is only followed by new Negroes. People that brag about living and representing a block that they don't even own. No ownership at all. And what happens when you do get ownership? What happens when a melanated man does get ownership in a certain district or a certain block? He gets killed, just like a Nipsey Hussle. The haterish tendencies of a quote unquote new Negro destroys his fellow brother and that legacy. You feel me? But let's continue. Let's continue, because like I said, this gets deep.
We've been reduced down to a certain state. You see what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to say. I want to hear this shit. White folks, man, are motherfucking 30 years ahead of us, even if they are not conscious. Because they have a problem. They got people. But the thing about it here is the average white folks are exposed to things. Let me give you an example of what I mean. We used to laugh at white folks when we see them on TV at their parties because they wasn't dancing. They were just standing around talking. You know what I'm saying? Standing around talking. You see us, we just are dancing and a dancing and a dancing. When you done came in contact with people. That's because when you engage in so much conversation, over the course of so many umpteen years, you get to be exposed with something. You see what I'm saying? Even if later on this conversation come up about something, you go, oh, I've heard of that before. Because you are always in a system of exposure when you have multiple conversations. What we do, motherfucking dancing. You see what I'm saying? There's a time for that. But the point I'm trying to, we used to laugh at white folks when we see them on TV. What the fuck is that? They just stand around talking. And that's the problem. Why the fuck you think that Starbucks is so popular? Now, we live in the West End, right up the street from all the 5 schools, and they ain't got no Starbucks. I say no because Starbucks make their money off of motherfuckers come up in there with a conversation. You see what I'm saying? Not just the goddamn coffee. And they've been rich off that shit. The point I'm trying to make here is we're not exposed enough. When I seen them 2 7-year-old white girls buying spell books, and one was buying hypnosis and stuff like that, and they were 7. Let you know, man, we're that damn so advanced. But I'm trying to say what I'm trying to say. But when you don't expose yourself to something, it leads to the onset of mental illness. If the brain, let me explain what I'm talking about here. Let's say when you get pregnant, a lot of women got to go to Lamar's class. That is because they have to work, because there's an old thing when a lot of people used to die back in the day. They would sit around. I had a cousin like that in the 60s. She sat around in the 50s. She just sat around on her fucking ass. And the baby grew to her fucking womb, and when the baby came out, it ripped her apart. Well, the same thing with the brain. The brain is there for learning. And when it doesn't get a certain amount of information and exposure to things, it becomes atrophied. You see what I'm saying? It becomes atrophied. And that's when the onset of mental illness. You know, a lot of things we do that we think is goddamn funny, and a lot of things we do is a form of mental illness. So what I'm trying to say, I'm just trying to say, for those people.
Let me tell you another thing that's mental illness. Again, I mentioned it earlier. We got new viewers, so let me remind them. Going to jail, coming out and bragging about it. That's a mental illness. You're basically bragging about your enslavement. You don't see people like Malcolm X going to jail, coming out and bragging. No. Take that time out to better yourself, of course. But don't brag about it. It don't make no sense. Nobody respects you deep down. You just wasted your time in this precious life. And you only live once. What did they say back in the days? YOLO. You only live once. So what does that even mean? Like, that's another topic for another video. Another thing we do is mental illness is disrespecting our women, abusing our women, instead of uplifting them. That's a mental illness in itself. Not being able to control our anger. Not being able to express, because when you have a lack of expression, it breeds depression. Take note, and I will repeat. When there's a lack of expression, and I'm talking emotional expression, you know, feeling joyful, feeling excited, feeling pleasant, feeling relaxed, and expressing those emotions to your peers or your family or your friends, then what that does is it breeds depression. Again, another mental illness. So the thing is about black people, modern black people, is that they're mentally dead. Let's be honest with ourselves. Most black people in the Western world are mentally dead. The only hope we have is those in Africa. That's why more people in the Western world, more black people in the Western world are going back to Africa to find their true divinity within themselves, because ultimately we've searched and searched and we haven't seemed to found that in the Western world. Why is that? It's because the game is not made for us to find our divinity in the Western world. It's meant to destroy our divinity in the Western world. The more people understand this, the more black people, the more melanated people understand this, the more the world is shifting. And I'm here to make that change. I'm here to make that change. I made some notes. Hopefully I can share them with you guys. We're going to get back into that video too. You know? So when we see shows like Top Boy, we feed into stereotypes, programming our mind to imitate these roles of these individuals. We start to look at these, we see other people in the show respecting these individuals, so we automatically assume, auto-suggestion, we assume this is what should be respected. And then it's fed to us over and over and over again. We know this. How many ghetto gangster movies we watched? Shall I name a few? I'm sure you can name a few. We got Boys in the Hood, we got Menace to Society, we got Juice. This is only in the 90s. We haven't even reached the 2000s. We got New Jack City. Listen, we haven't even finished from the 90s. What are you talking about? You know? How many rappers talk about, they used to sell drugs and they're a gangster, and countless. I don't even think you can make it back in the 90s if you wasn't, doing none of that. It's crazy. Once you think about it, see, I make people open their minds and really think. Unpack the bullshit that we've been fed. The GMO entertainment and music that we've been fed into our minds. It's time to cleanse. It's time to reconnect to our true divinity, inner divinity, God-given divinity. You feel me? But then that's what they don't want us to find. You could go around I've been around the whole world by myself. But ultimately, I only return to myself. I'll repeat that again, because some of you guys listen slow. I've been around the world by myself, and ultimately, I returned to myself. It gets deep, This video might not even touch people for another 15, 20 years because of how much black people are so behind in critical, independent thinking. They're stuck on the groupthink mentality. Whatever they do, whatever they like, I'm going to follow. That's why you see black individuals killing each other for white labels, white clothing labels. And if a brother started his own brand, they're quick to bash him. All of this is a mental illness. Look at it. Think about it and look at it. I'm going to pause right there and get back into the great master teacher, Bobby Hemmitt.
In them surrounding areas, take your ass to see the fucking exhibit. You see what I'm saying? See the exhibit and stuff like that. And get out of another culture, you see what I'm saying, of just being shit on a fucking stick. Give me some more questions.
Area code 718. You're live in the remix. Please tell us who you are and where you're calling from.
Hello?
Yes, greetings.
Hey, peace. How you doing? This is Infinity.
All right, peace to you, Infinity.
Peace. How you doing? My question for Bobby, actually, I wanted to ask him about the King Tut exhibit, and what did he think about the significance of it being in New York at this current time? And then I was kind of going to share with him like what I went through when I went there.
Well, it's just like I said, it's an exhibit. It's traveling. You know, it's been here. It's been in Chicago. It's been several places, Atlanta. You know, so you know. But I'm just trying to say that.
We'll leave it there with the master teacher Bobby Hemmitt. But the question is, I'm sure most of you guys have, is how do we liberate ourselves? How do we as melanated people liberate ourselves? Because we as black men or melanated men, I only said black because that's what most melanated people identify as. But how do we as melanated men throughout the multiverse liberate ourselves? Because we've been stuck under global development delay. It's like we're still boys in a sense. You feel me? That's why if I go to New York, if I go to Sweden, if I go to Portugal, if I go to Germany, if I go to America, if I go to Canada, anywhere in the Western world, you find the same type of mentality amongst melanated men, young men, and men, grown men. It's the mentality of an infant. Again, I'm going to remind you there's grown men coming out of jail in their 30s and 40s bragging about it. Yeah, I went to jail. I'm from this cell. The stupidity is beyond me. And this is because they're suffering from global development delay. They just like haven't become men. They've just been stagnant in that infant stage, in that toddler type of mentality. You feel me? And that's why most of these people go about their business in a dishonest way, destroying the community, because they're just pawns to be used in the game of chess. You feel me? So how do we liberate ourselves as melanated men? Number one is to be aware. And number two is to be at cause over our environment. That's the truth. To be aware of what's going on and educate ourselves on what's going on. And number two, be at cause over our environment. I'm telling you, stay dangerous, stay ready. And when I say stay dangerous, I'm not saying be the aggressor, no. I'm saying be in your home, relaxed, but you're ready. Intruder breaks in, you're ready. You feel me? Be at cause over that environment. White man looks at you funny, it's like you don't even faze him, because this is your planet. You are the original man of the planet Earth. Also, one thing we can do to liberate ourselves is buy acres of land in the motherland, Africa. Regardless of whether, you're a descendant of a slave or whatever, it doesn't matter. Realign and retune. Sometimes when we're playing the piano or guitar, you just have to retune it so you're in the right frequency. And it's exactly the same thing. Realign, find your tribe. And if not, make a tribe. Tribes were started by one man. So why don't you be that man and claim your land? Come back to the motherland and link up with other like-minded individuals. Let it be a communal effort. Big shout out to Zaylock, 23, out there in Ghana, building, educating. I send him my highest regards, because people like that is what inspire me. Big shout out to Go Black to Africa. These are American melanated men coming back to the motherland to liberate themselves and ultimately their future legacies. buying land, building, farming, resources, all of these things. Start as a caveman if you have to. Start as a caveman if you have to. Forget about what Western society tells you that you need. What do you need? What do you need as a man? That's the question. That's ultimately the question. You feel me? You see the astral plane? We're in the astral plane right now. A lot of people haven't even tapped in yet, but it is what it is. This is me expressing my heart to all my brothers worldwide throughout the multiverse. And when I'm speaking the truth, I don't want to come from a place of malice, from a place of where I'm hurting people. That's not my intention. My intention is to liberate melanated people worldwide. I know my tribe, but ultimately I will make my own tribe if I have to. There were also other melanated people, or should I say black people, would make you seem like you're fighting a losing war. But it's only because they've given up. Similar to the Nat Turner concept. How do you tell a slave he's a slave? You feel me? It's powerful. It's incredible. This type of thought process is very rare in the, modern era because of censorship. But I know I've touched a lot of people. I know for a fact I've touched a lot of people. I made people think. I made people ponder. And ultimately, that's what we need. Because that's what's going to bring curiosity to learn, to seek the truth, knowledge, wisdom, the way of Tehuti. And it's infinite. We all can't know everything. So we must consistently be students, learning, expressing, creating, feeling. But we as melanated men have been hindered by that. And that's just what it is. It's your choice to believe it or not. I feel like once the melanated man is right, the melanated woman will soon follow. Because that's the law of nature, the law of the universe. The melanated woman is only hurting and aborting the kids and drugging and polluting her body because she has no one to follow, no one to lead her. That's why she's hurting. So now it's become a negative feedback loop in the black community, in all black communities, whether you're African, Caribbean, where she's telling you her issues, the man will get upset, and it will just be a negative feedback loop of destruction, of chaos, instead of it being in harmony, of peace, of injustice. Injustice, not injustice, but pure justice. I want to give a big shout out to my Empress Ayan Arset, because she's brought me healing too. And I'm working on myself to get right. Because I'm not perfect. I'm but a man. But in that man, there is divinity. God-given divinity from the supreme creator of the multiverse. So as I seek truth on this path, whether as an individual or as a tribe, I will continue to seek truth righteously, without trespassing on anybody's feet or property. And I will continue to speak my truth. Whether people are with me or not, that's the way I've always lived my life. So again, I want to give a big shout out to everyone that's tuned in, either live or through the replay. Like I said, I'm going to do this more often because it's easier for me to do. Less editing. I can just press a button and live stream, share what's on my mind. You feel me? Express myself of my awareness. Ultimately, this is me sharing my thoughts, I don't want to say my truth because it's not my truth. The only thing that exists is the truth. So it's either I align with it or not. It's like the master teacher Bobby Hemmitt says, be your own master. Stop looking for an outside master. And most of us black people, we have an outside master, whether that be designer clothes, whether that be money, whether that be drugs, whether that be alcohol, whether that be over sexualizing ourselves and catching all these STDs, etc. and aborting our babies. You know, all of these are vices. The current masters that black people have is all vices and destruction and chaos. Maybe a small percentage of melanated people have risen above all these type of frequencies, these lower level realms. So it is what it is. We're just gonna vibe. We're just gonna chill. And we're still here. You feel me? Powerful stuff. People are not ready. People are not ready. But we gonna get ready. You feel me? Especially in my community, the Somali community, 100%. We gonna get ready. So we're just gonna have to do the work, the inner work first. And start creating our own platforms, our own brands, our own labels, instead of fighting for another cultures. See, Dame Dash told us that from early. At the same time, we need to practice nepotism, passing down something towards our kids, our legacy. The people that are so good at this is the Jewish people. They build something and then pass it to their kids. We as black people, or should I say we as melanated people, lack this. But we're so quick to identify with the term black. What does it mean to identify with the term black? I don't understand. Someone share that with me. Because I refuse to identify with a color. I'm more than a color. I'm all colors. How about that? I identify with the planet Earth. How about that? And each atom on planet Earth, each fabric on planet Earth, each gold on planet Earth. Yeah. I don't even identify with black no more. I identify as gold. How about that? I'm bringing that up. So this is what I mean by the top boy effect. Those that are not of melanated hue won't get this. It will just skim past them. But it is what it is. Even those of a melanated hue won't get this. Majority won't get this. It's for the chosen. See, many are called, few are chosen. You know what I really realized today, guys? I've been dropping a lot of gems. You might have to replay this again just to catch the gems. So today's lesson is, I'm going to write it down for you guys. Actually, I'll say it as I write. Today's gem. Be aware. Be at cause. And forever be a student. So as I close up, you guys can summarize and see the gem of the day. Be aware, be at cause, and forever be a student. And from that trifecta, you'll come back to yourself. Because ultimately that's what society is hiding from you. Your true self, your higher self, your inner being, your divinity, your soul. You know, there's so many terms for that core essence of you. It's powerful, powerful stuff. But we're going to get into more stuff. Like I said, I'm having fun doing this. I'm having fun expressing myself. Shout out to the viewers. Shout out to everyone that's tuning in. And I really do appreciate you guys. Whoever you are around the world. It's only going to get deeper from here. And, I'm not scared to die. I'm not scared to die by speaking truth. And I respect those that don't either. The Malcolm X, the Muhammad Ali's, all of these great figures. So yeah, guys, I send you my peace, love, and blessings. It's the resurrection of the Pharaoh.